Hello everyone, Batman Soul of the Dragon is the second installment within the new DC animated films, which is redone last year within 2020's Superman Man of Tomorrow, which was released back in September, I believe, or October, one of the two. But I don't know if this is actually a sequel to it, but it's probably within the same realm, as after 2013's Flashpoint Paradox gave the DC its own new era of animated films. I feel like its own universe, so it could parallel its own within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if any of you don't know at all, try not to drop this. I am a massive DC animated fan. And I actually have a whole bulk more over there. I'll actually show. Who cares? Because these might fall over. One moment, please. Boom. Got a pile. Although I'm planning to get more. And of course, oh fuck me. And Batman Soul of the Dragon takes place back in the 70s. At least I think within the old era of the late 70s, for it's film to have more jive, fun, a lot more of a swinging era of the 1970s, with its more blaxploitation vibe that it's going for. And what I really liked about this movie is the action, the animation, and the voice cast. They all feel very good. I like the story for the most part. And for the most part, it shows that Batman had a past within this martial arts group. And they had a sensei who they lost in the past before. And it's like, okay, something's gone anew here. What's going on? Why are we kind of coming back together? And the film really does show the past and why it's grown to such a point and why it's like this. And what I really enjoyed, as I said, I like the action, I like the voice acts, I like the vocal works, I like the story. Why don't I like this movie? Granted, I don't need this to be the next Under the Red Hood, or Dark Knight Returns, or Wonder Woman. But I do expect any of these films to really stand out in place. And while I do think this is overall a solid DC animated film, why don't I love this movie is because of one reason and one reason alone. Calling it a Batman movie feels redundant. Yes, Batman's in this movie, and he's cool, I like him. Who the hell doesn't? And in truth, well, I forgot who voices him in this film. David Gyllenhaal has actually a really good voice for Batman. He's a little generic at times, but he's good enough. I liked him. But the other voice cast, I really like more. And I feel like they really stand out to shine out more. Jamie Chung, who you've seen in a bunch of other films, I really like her as Cheshire. Michael Jai White as Bronze Tiger is a real standout. And I really like the voice cast from their angle. I like their dynamics. Which is why my biggest problem in this movie is that Batman kind of feels redundant. He doesn't feel as big of a piece. You can call this movie just Soul of the Dragon without the Batman. Batman it feels like Batman doesn't play. I'm not saying he doesn't play keep in this film, he does. But if the movie feels like if you could edit out anything in this movie, you could edit out Batman out of this film entirely, and it wouldn't have changed a thing. So calling it Batman Soul of the Dragon was kind of weird. I felt like, as much as I enjoyed the side cast, I felt like there was a bit too many of them. So they kind of felt like, in my view, not all of them were always as engaging as each other. Or at least the movie needs some trimming down, at least. Because for me, at least in my perspective of the story and everything, Batman didn't feel that essential. You could call this movie Soul of the Dragon, as I said, you can call this movie Soul of the Dragon itself and add up Batman, and nothing would have changed. Batman, for the first time ever, feels like he's not needed for the story. You could write him entirely out of the film. And while I won't get overtly angry or anything about it, it feels like it's lost its comic book ties because they're taking such storylines before. Like, we've had a couple of these stories more than once in truth within the franchise of these DC animated films. We've had 2 Superman Doomsday story arcs before, and so many others since then that it feels like you're pulling for more obscure storylines from the comics, that something like this might be more odd and more uniquer, and while it might stand out because of that 70s blaxploitation era of the vibrancy and the fun, the jive, loving, dancing angle to that, to me, it's more of a film reminiscent of its tone and its action, rather than its creativity of story or its depth or the symbol or the themes or the characters. And granted, I kind of did contradict myself there. The characters are good and engaging enough, but it didn't feel as vital as before. It feels like certain characters stood out more rather than Batman being the actual Sword of the Dragon. If Batman took a more center point perspective in the story, being that, hey, we need a center lost, like that one key of the group who's kind of like keeping us intertwined, kind of like the keystone character, Batman should have been there. And I felt like no matter how accurate or not to his comics, Batman's Sword of the Dragon kind of feels soulless. It has no direction. Batman feels redundant, and it's not as clever nor as deep as any other DC animated film, in my opinion. But overall, it's still a very fun, dynamic, and visually memorable movie with some good voice actors. And for me, this is above the standards DC animated film. And I hope after Superman and I hope, for me at least, with these 2 films, Sword of the Dragon and Man of Tomorrow, which I probably prefer this one over more slightly, personally speaking, I hope that this franchise takes a little bit more care and investment to really understand how to expand its franchise more than it did before, because the DC animated films, when they went into that universal angle after Flashpoint Paradox, it felt like it lost a lot of their own identity. Each film felt like this bled into the other, with none of them really striking out as something interesting, aside from the death of Superman. So I hope these new films really do, thematically and imagery-wise, tie to each other, aside from the weird, chalkily black outlines of the characters, which I find a little distracting at times. Like, I could forgive it in this film for being the first of a new era, but don't continue it, and at the very least, take care with the writing, the approach, and the skill of how you do it. Because I feel like Sam Liu, while undeniably a talent within these animated films, I don't think he should be as much of a centerpiece as he should be for everything else. I hope he does not become the Kathleen Kennedy of the DC animated films, because so much can go wrong so fast because of that. But overall, I enjoyed Batman Sword of the Dragon enough. It's a good standard. I hope it may not be a sequel or anything, but I hope the new DC films continuing on from this at least expand and at least add more dimension and better writing to their series more. And considering their next film will be Justice Society World War II, I cannot wait, because A, that's a fantastic comic run, and B, the voice cast is going to be interesting enough, and it's more greater sense of expanding to the past and how it's showing more dimension and growth out to the future. It's something I really hope it does better than these 2 films before. And just like with Man of Tomorrow, I hope, and what I got from this film is I really do hope this new era of the DC animated films starts to do something more interesting and memorable, rather than Batman Soul and the Dragon, leaving Batman Soul and the Dragon which in truth left me with more of a sense of funk. Then it was like, okay, it's fun, but where's this going to? I want these new DC animated films to really take a lesson from the Flashpoint Paradox movies and all. Do learn from their mistakes and do something in film, because I really do care about these DC animated films. As I shown you before, all the films before from Flashpoint Paradox, all of these damn movies here, all of them on rights are great for a certain reason. They're all great, and they're all worth watching. So I really want this franchise to learn from its lessons and grow. So, yeah. Overall, thank you for watching, and I'm going to give Batman Soul and the Dragon a 3 out of 5 stars. And thank you for watching, and as always, I'm Vengeance.